Keep on, click on Enter. So in this folder you can see third file app user I got created. What you need to do, just copy this file and go to that cred file folder. Paste this file, don't do just a cred file folder. Here we paste this, and before doing that, just stop the service in the server. Create cred file. Paste the file in the cred file folder. Go to your DR Vault and open private client and set one password, same password for that app. You just, whatever password you set in the while creating the cred file, update the same password for that particular user in the private client. Then come back to this PWA server and start the IA. So this activity we need to do only in case if that authentication got failed for the app user and get the user, so in case if there is a noise with that app user and get reason to do that. The same way, so same thing. If we are some, also help me clarify this part. So we are trying to say that whatever the DR user which is created by default on a primary vault, right, that password should be matching for a user account of DR on the DR Vault server as well. That is correct. So if there is a discrepancy, that's when we come back here and generate the file. Rather, in this case, hold on, in this case, if it is no, so. For every component we have a user site that you also created in the vault, right, at OS level. That file got created. And in vault level that internal users will be created. Absolutely. If you take a production vault and DR Vault scenario, you are replicating the data from production vault to DR Vault. You are replicating shapes and all the user passwords. So in case, if that, for example, PVW app user and gateway user passwords was not replicated from your DR Vault to primary vault to DR Vault and you triggered a failover, okay, so in that case that password mismatch happened. At OS level, one password will be available for this app user and gateway user, and in DR Vault app user, gateway user password is different. Then after failover you will get that error message, authentication failure for the app user and gateway user. And after 5 attempts it will be suspended. So that DR user concept is different. So in case, if that DR user password is mismatched at OS level in the DR Vault and in the vault level in the primary vault, then data replication will fail. And you will get error message in the PADR log stating that authentication failure for the user DR. Like that again. It will give 5 messages and DR user will be suspended and disaster recovery service will be terminated. So if you see that kind of error message, what you need to do? You need to go to your primary vault, go to that users and groups, select DR user, update password for the DR user and go to trusted net areas and activate that DR user. And go to your DR Vault, go to that PADR location. So you go to your DR Vault. So here you have userinfo. So if you open this file, you can see the user name as DR. So this will be helpful for replicating the data from production to DR. This user got. That means if this user is unsynchronized or password mismatch, then this user will be suspended and data replication will be stopped and you will be just a mismatched. When you say mismatch, mismatch from where? From production vault. Okay. Okay. So that's when we always try to see that dr user, the passwords on the primary and the dr vault remains the same. Right. So that the replication can happen always. And likewise, just in case, if there is a discrepancy, then I'll come back and look at the other logs. And it says that the replication has failed because the user account is blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's terminating and things like that. 5 attempts it will make, it will suspend itself. So that means on a primary vault it will go back and suspend the dr user account itself. Correct? Okay, so that's completed. Wait, here one more thing. So, for example, password was mismatched. And if you start the dr service, it will give that message, authentication failure for the user dr, and it will stop the dr service. It will not try for 5 attempts, so without updating the password in the primary vault. If you keep on continuously starting the dr vault service, then after 5 attempts it will suspend the user also. Okay. Hypothetically, what if, in a scenario, my dr has never synchronized with my primary vault? And I don't know if the dr has something password or whatever it is, and maybe there is a mismatch. Yeah. Then do one thing. Just create the credfill for this user dr here. OS level. And update the same password in the primary vault, private or client, for that dr user. Then start the dr service on the dr vault. Fair enough. So one thing which everybody has to be cautious is essentially to say that on a dr vault we should time and again come back and see if the replications are happening periodically. If that's not happening because of the credentials and something happens to the primary vault itself, then we don't have any data. Unless we have to wait for the physical recovery of the OS, or whatever it is of primary vault, to come back. Okay. So due to that reason only, we will configure that SMTP, SMMP. So in case, if you configure SMTP, if you are just a recovery service, means replication is not happening. Then you will get an email notification stating that data replication is not happening from so and so. How our standoff message you will get. Now we have completed the failover, automatic failover. Now we'll go to failback. Okay. So for doing failback, maybe we can create a sample safe to see that if it's happening. But in your environment, we haven't installed the digester recovery module on the primary vault. So failback. Also, we can do in 2 ways, means without doing the replication and with replication. So in case, if it is a means, as I told you, like, due to some network glitches, both walls will up and running. Right. So in that case, what we do just will stop the digester recovery service on the dr vault and we'll change that parameter. Failover mode equal to S. It is S now. We need to change it to no and then start the digester recovery service. So you mean to say that we just come back and change this guy to no and remove the last 2 lines? 2 lines trigger full replication. So this means that no replication will happen. If I delete these 2 lines, full replication will not happen. If you delete these 2 lines, then only full replication will happen. If you keep these 2 lines, then incremental replication will happen. Okay. So if I delete, full increment will happen. Full backup will happen back.